The 4th of July weekend provided plenty of fireworks at Elko Speedway. In today's show, we will highlight the big Valvoline 100 of a week ago, plus take in all the highlights from Saturday's Gatorade Circle of Champions event. We'll give you the lowdown on all the action next on the Valvoline Elko Race Report.
Questionable-looking skies didn't bother these families. They knew Big Al was out there getting the track ready for another night of NASCAR racing action. Hello again, folks. Wally Shaver and Ted Austad with you. We had a lot of racing over the 4th of July weekend. 19 races last Saturday night in the regular Winston Racing Series program. And then, of course, we had a super program, Ted, back on July 3rd with the Valvoline 100.
Yeah, we have all of the highlights from both the Valvoline 100 from last week and Saturday night's Gatorade Circle of Champions event. I'll tell you, Wally, we have some very exciting footage to show race fans.
Lots of action. Don't go too far. We're going to be right back with some late model action from Saturday. Today's show is brought to you by Valvoline, the #1 choice of mechanics across the Midwest. By Budweiser, race fans, this Bud's for you. By Tires Plus, low warehouse prices, fast world-class service. And Gens Ryan Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. For all your Lennox needs, call Gens Ryan in Rose.
Take a ride on the wild side.
The one thing I like about Elko Speedway, Ted, it's always very intriguing because no matter which corner you walk around, you're always going to find something different. Just the other night I walked around the corner of the bleachers. Hey, and there's J.J. Molitor, Elko's #1 fan, sporting his brand new Rusty Wallace paint job. Steve Mergic doesn't have the new look as he works to replace a shot clutch from earlier in the night. Time trials for all 21 cars. Same old story. Jeff Martin whizzed around the 3/8 mile oval, posting the quickest time. Then the top 6 timers lined up for the fast dash, only with an inverted order. That means the 5th and 6th fastest qualifiers lined up on the front row. Didn't take long for Wisconsin dairy farmer Kevin Noodleman to fire his Monte Carlo to the lead, holding it for the duration of the race. In the 2 heat races involving the remainder of the Mack Tools late model cars, Mark Nesheim roared to the front in his 1997 Grand Prix and had no challengers. That's because the battle for second was 3 wide, with Tim Stanley in 69 sandwiched by Ray Gensler in the white car and Gordy Swanson in the yellow Cutlass. In the second heat, Les Ferris in number 14 and Mel Walen in 25 drove door to door for the last 3 laps. Walen won it as Ferris was a little loose exiting turn 4.
Ferris had a chance for redemption as he sat on the front row with the 79 ride of Mark Nesheim for the 40-lap main event. The first of 2 cautions developed after 1 completed lap when John McCarthy and Troy Wangren tangled. Both made it back to race. Kenny Walstead sent them racing once again as the attention focused on whether or not the number 82 car of Mike Tuma could win his 5th consecutive Winston Racing Series event. He'd have to earn it from the 10th place starting spot. Nesheim led for the first 12 laps of the race until rapid Ray Gensler crept up to apply the pressure. Right behind was the Midwest Data Dodge Avenger of Mel Walen. The battle for 4th place found Rick Keith in the yellow Chevy trying to hold off the Hooters ride of Jason Schneider. As Schneider puts the pass on Keith, look who is throttling up from his mid-pack start. Mike Tuma in car 82.
Ray Gensler's lead was short-lived as Walen hit the front straight in the outer groove on the fly. Through the first 2 turns, our 3rd race leader emerged with Walen at the helm. Mel's last win came in the second night of the season for the auto body man from Shakopee. Things are looking good 15 laps into the race. Behind him, Nesheim lost his third-place spot as both Jason Schneider and Mike Tuma roared past. Tuma kept it hammered down and stole past Racing Jason to snare a third place. Still, half the race to go. A little further back, the J&L sandblasting blue Dodge of Brad Miller kept the orange ride of Dan Ryan and the black GCG Motorsports Pontiac of Josh Vadnais at bay. Best finisher out of this threesome was Miller with a 10th place effort.
A mid-race crash ended the night for the MGM Liquor Warehouse ride of Brian Johnson as he collected Gordy Swanson, sending both for a spin at the west end of the speedway. Gordy made it back out with a damaged rear quarter panel. The lane choice rule adds to the strategy of racing at Elko Speedway, and it does not make any difference to Mike Tuma. He takes whatever is offered. Outside front row suited the current points leader just fine, and the race was on. Mel Walen proved to be Mike's toughest competition in several weeks as these two drove inches apart for 9 laps, even making the occasional contact. Tuma had to muscle, powering his G&T Trucking Monte Carlo into victory lane for his 5th consecutive Saturday night win. Good race for third between the number 3 Firebird of Steve Mergic, the number 11 ride of Jason Schneider, and fast timer Jeff Martin in car 7. Schneider tried to run an outside with Martin right behind, but hot tires forced Schneider to back off. Mergic earned third place. It was a good run for the Checkers. We had 4 leaders last Saturday night. Now let's move to the motor pits and talk to 2 of them.
You gave a good run with Mel Walen. What's it like when you guys are driving that close together at those speeds for so long?
Well, I think he was listening to my throttle and I was listening to his, and neither one of us wanted to let off on it. But I kind of slowed myself down a little bit. I was driving it in a little too hard and the car was a little pushy, so I slowed down a little bit and that seemed to help, and then I was able to keep a steadier pattern going, and it worked out for us.
You had the position there at the top of the show for quite a while. What were your thoughts at that point? What did you realize was going on behind you?
Well, I thought we were pretty well under control. I was happy the car was running that well tonight. We've just come off about 4 or 5 weeks here where we couldn't get out of our own way. So. And I could see that there was some cars behind, but we had some distance. But then on the restart, well, that always changes the game, so it makes it interesting. So, and Mike runs real well. When he come up beside me, I thought, oh, now we're going to have trouble here. So there's going to be a battle going on.
Well, that did happen because it put the 2 of you at the start on that restart right at the front row. He gave you a pretty good contest for a while, but you held in there. What went through your mind as the lane choice flag was being waved?
Oh, you try to run it, as competitive as you can without pinching somebody to the outside and stuff. Just try to run clean racing, and I think we did that tonight.
Well, Saturday's late model action was great, but Wednesday night, the Valvoline 100 put on one awesome display of talent and pageantry. We'll have all the highlights of that coming up later on in the show, but when we get back, it's time to look at the Gens Ryan Sportsman. Well, every night at Elko Speedway is kids' night. Look at these guys. Nothing but good times at the track. The Sportsman division continues to be one of the most competitive. 10 race nights, 9 different winners. As the cars headed onto the track for heat race action, 2 white cars battled for the lead in the opener. Loren Sirek in car 95 and Bert Bovair in 60 were next to each other for the last 3 laps until Sirek crossed the line first. The second heat was another thriller, this time involving the entire field. Brad Sanford in the green car and Russ Forgia in car 33 raced side by side for all 10 laps. Both were loose on the last lap as Sanford crossed the line first. Fuel cells were topped off while others kept their cool, and we were set for a 25-lap main event on this Gatorade Circle of Champions night. Interesting start to this one. Russ Forgia in 33 was on the pole, and he was flanked by the number 11 Valley Sign ride of Mike Skaya. Skaya decided to make a run to the outside while second row starter Bert Bovair in number 60 ducked low. Suddenly it was 3 wide for the lead. Bovair emerges the lead.
A minute later, Skaya was loose in turn 1 and punched by the green number 8 car of Brad Sanford. This led to a lot of brake checking as the 98 Malibu of Steve Croyer found himself sideways through the east end turns. Donnie Bryett and Loren Sirek locked into a second-place struggle. Sirek was smooth through the outer groove and moved past Bryett with his sights set on Bovair. Meanwhile, Bryett's challenge now was for third place, as he had number 80 Kent Eastlick, number 3 Paul Neisches, and 41 Donnie Reavers hot on his exhaust. A seventh-place contest pitted the 32 ride of the only multiple feature winner, Jeff Partington, against the DRS Home Remodelers number 9 Ford of Rob Host. Good door-to-door action between these two veterans as they even bumped through turn 4 at 80 miles an hour.
Up front, Sirek kept focused on Bovair and eventually reeled him in. As Sirek moved to the outside, Bovair kept his foot in it. This was lap 13. They drove this way for the final 12 laps. Neither had won a feature this year, and with the rest of the field well back of them, the trophy was up for grabs. Sirek has had 4 top 5 finishes this season, Bovair 2. Last lap, and it was all out. Sirek hammered it from the outside and beat Bovair by a hood at the finish. Outstanding race, but one problem for Bovair. He had been given the lane choice flag on 3 successive laps for not holding his lane and was consequently penalized 2 positions. Well, Wally Shaver is down in the motor pits now with a very happy Loren Sirek.
Well, so far this season, Loren Sirek has not won on a Saturday night, but with the win tonight, coupled with Wednesday's special feature win, that's 2 in a row for you. You're really on a tear.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on a tear or not, but we're getting the card closer, I guess. So.
Well, it's certainly overdue because I know you've had some problems so far this year, a wreck or 2, and mechanical problems along the way as well.
Right, yeah. The guys have really been working hard on it. We've been putting in full weeks, after work, working on the cars. So we've all put our time in on it. So.
How much fine tuning do you have to do to these things to keep it going week to week?
Well, if you don't crash, you don't have to do much tuning, But you got to scale it. You got to do your work to it, and your homework on it and stuff. So.
In tonight's race, you jumped right to the front. What was your thought when you were lined up at where you were for the start of the race?
Where I was with the start of the race, I figured that line was going straight back. The guy in front of me kind of helped open it up, and I seen he was getting loose, and I just kept her coming in and kept it coming in, and finally got out there to work alongside of him and stuff. So it was a pretty tough race, it really was.
You and Bovair, though, had a really good run. The number 60
did.
car, 95, side by side. Long time that way, too.
Yeah, it was. When the white flag flew, I didn't even realize it was that time already.
Well, there was some lane choice going on from the flag stand. What were you thinking at that point?
Well, I wasn't sure who he was waving it at. Bert, he gave me plenty of room through the corners, and I think that's where most of the room you need should be in the corners and stuff. But I guess that's the rules of the track. So.
Well, you can't finish any closer than those two did tonight. Loren Sirek coming home with the checkered flags.
Kenny Bernstein's Budweiser King Top Fuel Dragster. Who says you need wings to fly?
Take a ride on the wild side.
Racing action starts every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Don't be late because you never know what you might miss. And it didn't take long because Joe Rauch met the wall in the very first heat race of the night and was checking out the damage to see if a feature run was still possible. Not looking good. In that first heat, Larry Fitzsimmons led for 10 of the 12 laps, but was passed by Jason Ostley to finish second. Heat 2 belonged to Jack Moo Moo Mays. Heat 3, Tim Bresnahan took his number 57 Monte Carlo to the front, holding off all challengers. And in the final heat race for the Thunder Cars, a 4-car lead group stole away from the pack. Mary Twining in number 9 and number 32 Steve Schultz ran side by side for the duration. Schultz was too wide on the final lap, losing just enough ground for Twining to win for the second straight week. Thunder B action preceded the main event as 6 more cars would qualify. Last lap action was nose to tail for leader Lawrence Gensler in the yellow and white car, holding a point over the 04 ride of Jason Polzinski and the number 40 ride of Dave Parrott. Polzinski was looking for his spot and darted low in turn 2, overhauling Gensler on the back straight.
A few drops fell from an overcast sky, creating a 5-minute delay, but then it was on to racing once again. In the Tires Plus main event, 72 Jason Miles and 73 Larry Fitzsimmons swapped leads for the first couple of laps before Fitzsimmons gained ground on the inside to take command of the point. Fitzer was red hot, looking unbeatable. Behind him, Stephanie Wozgott, the 26, was working her way around Brezhnan's blue and red number 57 ride, with Jack Moo Moo Mays doing likewise in car number 1. One of the fastest cars in the track started from 16th position. That's Conrad Jorgensen, the black number 3 Bonneville, getting past Keith Johnson on the outside. This large group featured cars positioned 2nd through 8th. A little later, Conrad swept past number 4 Greg Gernitz on the outside, then ducked low in turn 1 to snake past the blue number 1 car of Moo Moo. Wasn't enough time to catch the front runners. Stephanie Wozgott maintained her grasp on 2nd, while Larry Fitzsimmons went on to post a big win in the Thunder cars. Now, here's a final top 10 list from Saturday. Children's Grand Prix may not have had much of an undercard for their so-called show this past weekend, but maybe what they should have done is ask the Bob 100 FM Bombers to join them. You know, even I would have paid for an overpriced ticket to see that one. The Bombers on a road course.
Yeah, I love it already.
Bomber action at Elko Speedway is always exciting, and first-year driver Andy Jurek provided excitement for his fans during the first heat race as he piloted his red, white, and blue Chariot to victory lane. The second heat saw Joe Hulkschild take the lead from Dennis Barta, but then loop it in the turns. Barta still couldn't get the win, though, as Jay Shakin' Baked Salmon stole the lead on the final lap. Heat race number 3 was all Wally Cavalli, by golly. He plucks the win ahead of Ken Pearson and journeyman goalie Dan Beaupre. The final heat race was close throughout. Number 05 Adam Wolf does a good job of holding off the veteran bomber driver Rob Koffenberg for the hardware.
If you do not finish among the top half of your heat race, you run the Bomber B feature. And last Saturday night's Bomber B was one of the best races of the night. Todd Wilson is the early leader with Chris Geeson's bracket crossing number 97 very close behind. Joel Hochschild and Pat Kelly are providing the chase. Wilson and Geeson go side by side for the lead halfway through the 15-lapper. Tucking in closely behind is Tim Shaughnessy in the blue and white number 5. Shaughnessy was the winner of the Bomber 500 Special back in June and is a regular A feature runner who just did not make the cut last Saturday. Geeson was able to get past Wilson for the lead, and Shaughnessy was not far off the pace. This set the stage for one of the best finishes of the season.
Geeson leads the field as they come through the final turns. He goes low to pass the number 58 ride driven by Chad Marks. Geeson gets a little sideways here, leaving an opening for the number 5 car. Shaughnessy pounced on the opportunity and came home the victor ahead of Geeson and Todd Wilson. What a race. The Bomber A was a good race also. Andy Jurek was the man to beat. Mike Chatterton, Rob Geeson, Dan Beaupre provided the fans with a little 3-wide racing, as did Derry Peterson, Grant Wazik, and Dave Fronick. The top drivers start in the back of the pack, and it is always fun to watch them charge to the front in the marble lane. Sometimes, though, the luck is not on your side. Here, Dave Fronick breaks an axle and then puts on his very own 4th of July fireworks show for the fans. Nobody's going to catch the Independence Day special of Andy Jurek. He posted his first career A feature win ahead of hard-charging Darrell Bloom and Jim J.J. Jessen. And here's now a look at the final A feature rundown for Saturday night.
You want to know the secret to choosing a motor oil? You wait till the sun goes down. You take a ride to your local garage and then get a real close look at what the mechanic puts into his own car. Fact is, more top mechanics in America choose Valvoline over any other brand. Valvoline can help keep cars on the road for 100, 200, 300,000 miles and more. So before you buy a motor oil for your car, know the one more top mechanics put into theirs. People who know use Valvoline.
You know, there should be a whole lot of road between you and your next set of tires. And that's why you should be on the road to Tires Plus for the value-priced Uniroyal Tiger Paw ASC. Hi, I'm Tom Gigax. Save this week on the Uniroyal Tiger Paw ASC, the all-season radial tire that works hard for your money. Sure put it, mile after mile. Hurry, sailing Saturday.
Low warehouse prices. Tires Plus. World-class service. Tires Plus.
The Telecom Gold Star Series brings together some of the top short track drivers from the Midwest. We had guys last Wednesday night pulling in from Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Feature the likes of Ricky Bilderback, Mike Kennecke, and Larry Kelly. They were here to take on the local hot shoes of Steve Mergic, Mike Tuma, and that invincible Jeff Martin. Mike Kennecke of Sparta, Wisconsin, was the fastest on the clock and then rolled a 4 for the inversion, placing him in the 6th row outside of Rick Keith.
A full field of 28 NASCAR late models lined up for the 100-lap chase for the checkers. Metro Weather stripping teammates Rapid Ray Gensler and Steve Mergic lined up side by side in the front row with a host of challengers close behind. Mergic and Gensler put on a fantastic show during the early stages of the race as the two worked side by side. Mergic would inch into the lead but get a bit squirrely in the turns, giving Gensler the edge. Mergic was finally able to wrestle the lead away from Rapid Ray, but his tenure was short-lived as Mike Tuma was on the charge. The hottest driver at Elko Speedway moved in on the leader Mergic, and then on the 22nd lap, passed him for the lead.
A crash involving Scott Hagan, Brian Bagwell, Jay Halbert, and Tom Guckenberger brought out the first caution of the night. Hagan's motor let loose as the field entered turn 1, and the oil slick collected the others. A second caution came out later after Paul Payne and Brian Johnson squared off against one another. This incident starts well before the final cause of the caution. Tough break for Brian Johnson and Mel Walen, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Mike Tuma was in command of this race during the green flag laps. Illinois driver Ricky Bilderback in the silver 02 Ford charged through the field and snared second, but he would not have the time or the power to catch Mad Mike. Jeff Martin came home third, followed by Mike Kennecke and Ray Gensler. Tuma lapped all but 4 cars in his dominating performance during the Valvoline 100. Make a note, race fans, that the Valvoline 100 will be shown in its entirety later this month on Midwest Sports Channel. The special 1-hour delayed broadcast will also be shown on the Prime Sports Network in the Midwest and Rocky Mountain regions. Dates and times will be announced this weekend at Elko Speedway. Now, here's a look at the top 10 finishing order for last Wednesday's Telecom Gold Star Series Valvoline 100. Can Mike Tuma extend his current streak of 6 feature victories to 7 straight? Will Steve Anderson go without a feature win in the Gens Ryan Sportsman? Both of these and plenty of other questions will be answered next Thursday on the Valvoline Elko Race Report.
This Saturday night, we're into the second half of the racing season, and Mike Tuma has an absolutely incredible streak going. Can he make it 7 straight? I've never seen anything like it.
It's amazing, Wally. I mean, in this modern age at Elko Speedway where we have 20 to 25 competitors, it's really amazing to see a guy win that many races. We'll have to see this Saturday night, 6:30 time trials, 7 o'clock racing, and
What are these?
well, I don't know, but we're celebrating Rapid Ray Gensler's grand opening of his new hamburger joint. See you at the races, gang.
A promotional consideration has been given to the Checkered Flag Racing News. For over 30 years, Checkered Flag Racing News has been bringing race fans in the Midwest all the news and information from the world of racing. You can read about it in the pages of Checkered Flag Racing News. $22 for a yearly subscription, weekly during the racing season and monthly during the off-season. Call today for more information. Tell them you saw it on the Elko Show. Also, the Minnesota Sports Page, a free weekly sports paper available at over 300 locations in the metro area. The Minnesota Sports Page covers sports of all sorts, including auto racing and the action at Elko Speedway. New editions every week with home subscriptions available by calling area code 612-359-3395. the Minnesota Sports Page. Pick one up today.